The Bloukrans Pass translates directly from Afrikaans into Bloukrans Pass. Master pass builder Thomas Bain relished the challenge of planning a route through both of the formidable obstacles of the Grotrivier and Bloukrans gorges within the Tsitsikamma forest when the government first started considering a coastal road between Port Elizabeth and Plettenberg Bay in the 1880s. The pass is one of the most revered passes in South Africa, and it's a sad indictment that this road has been allowed to degenerate into such a state of disrepair that it has now been declared closed to traffic. This pass is surely worthy of national monument status. With a gloomy future ahead for the pass, one can only hope that those in authority will try to preserve this outstanding engineering masterpiece and irreplaceable chapter of South African history. This video clip shows the evidence of rockfalls, debris and fallen trees, a sure indicator of the degradation that has befallen this spectacular and beautiful road. But let's backtrack 133 years and consider that at the time, the only route between Port Elizabeth and George was via the Langkloof and over the Outeniqua Mountains via the Montague Pass. At the time, the government officials declared that the Tsitsikamma forests were impenetrable, but Bain's motto was, of course, that nothing was impossible. In the year of 1869, Mother Nature sent a series of devastating mountain fires, laying vast tracts of forest to waste in the Tsitsikamma zone, providing Bain and his team with the perfect opportunity to plot a suitable route of 185 kilometers connecting Port Elizabeth with Plettenberg Bay, Knysna and George via a coastal road which circumvented the arduous journey over the Outeniqua Mountains via the Langkloof. However, two mammoth gorges blocked Bain's plotted route, and as always he dived into this as an exciting challenge and not as an impossible obstacle, and set about with his trademark zeal in scouting a new route through both the Bloukrans and Grotrivier passes. Bain was a remarkable man with an engineer's keen eye for gradient and an accountant's shrewd mind for economy, frequently completing his passes under budget. The Bloukrans Pass was particularly problematic in that the natural slopes of the terrain were exceptionally steep, and to make matters worse, much of the surface was of unstable shale, which meant very strong retaining walls had to be built to prevent rock slides and the actual roadway collapsing. Massive falling trees caused detrimental damage to the slippery slopes, whilst unruly troops of baboons caused much mayhem for construction workers and travellers alike. There are two river crossings at the bottom of the pass, both of which provide exceptionally beautiful and photogenically rich settings. The crossing of the first bridge also marks the border between the Western and Eastern Cape. An ironic but happy bonus for the more adventurous traveller is that because the pass is now closed to traffic, one can take a good long walk along this marvellous road or take your mountain bike and enjoy a wonderfully memorable journey back into South African history. The water in the river is reputed to be potable, and there's plenty of shade to enjoy a leisurely picnic. The new N2, which runs effortlessly over the upper plateau with almost no gradient, is efficient and fast, but blatantly lacks the drama, beauty and charm of the old pass, where driving fast is simply not a possibility. Surprisingly, the old pass shows a fairly low accident record, perhaps mainly attributable to the mandatory slow speeds. As motorists whiz over the spectacular new N2 Bloukrans Bridge with its adrenaline-pumping, eye-popping bungee jump of 216 meters, they barely notice the incredible scenery of the gorge and river hundreds of meters below. If you can't walk or cycle the old pass, then at least stop at the visitor center view site of the new N2 bridge and gaze down amongst the forests next to the river far below. If you look carefully, you might catch a glimpse or two of the old pass winding its way laboriously up and down the mountainside. Please note that it's illegal to stop anywhere on the new bridge. The eastern ascent begins with the crossing of the picturesque bridge which straddles the Bloukrans River and was built in 1948. After a few hundred meters, the trees gently step back to showcase a wonderful view of the new bridge which was built in 1983, which towers dramatically high over the majestic green gorge of the main valley. Initially, the road rises gently alongside the river through a series of natural curves following the contours of the eastern side of the gorge. A few hundred meters further, the road levels off for a brief distance and crosses one of the Bloukrans River's tributaries. This is an especially pretty spot surrounded by dense forest, tranquility and birdsong. For those interested in bird life, the Tsitsikamma forest also hosts the African crowned eagle and the African wood owl, plus some of the other accipiters such as African goshawk and black sparrowhawk. Amongst the smaller birds, one should look out for the Cape canary, the Cape sugarbird, the orange-breasted sunbird, the black sawwing and the ground woodpecker. Also present, though difficult to locate, are the Protea canary, Victorins warbler, the striped flufftail and the Cape siskin. Besides the ever-present baboons, those who are extremely fortunate might get a glimpse of the elusive Cape clawless otter. These deeply forested gorges with the tumbling amber waters are their perfect habitat. After another kilometre or so, one arrives at the famous Bloukrans hairpin bend. There are many hair-raising tales about mishaps, close shaves and horrific accidents on this notorious bend. The road climbs abruptly right on the very bend at a gradient of a very stiff 1 in 5, simultaneously turning through an alarming 135 degrees. Drivers of heavy-duty trucks suffered most trying to negotiate this bend. If you decide to get out of your vehicle to photograph or film this beautiful section of the pass, be aware that there are frequently large troops of baboons here. Other attractions in the immediate area include the Birds of Eden Bird Sanctuary, the De Fasselo Nature Reserve, the Formosa Nature Reserve and the Garden Route National Park. The Knysna Elephant Park can be found on the western side of the Grootrivier Pass, as well as the Monkeyland Primate Sanctuary. For those who have lots of energy, there's the Otter Trail and the Tsitsikamma National Park, which can also be visited. If you decide to mountain bike along this section, be particularly careful of rockfalls. Once past the hairpin bend, the road rises at a steady gradient on the southern side of the ravine. This section is showing serious degradation with dozens of minor rockfalls and subsiding sections of tar. Here you'll also see several high retaining walls, all remnants of Bain's original work, but now reinforced with concrete. The forest canopy begins to open up at the 150-meter contour level, and then the road peters out into a dead end, authorities having blocked the road with a large pile of sand.